Good morning. Sorry that yesterday we did not have sound. I am so sorry. Today we are going to multiply and divide rational expressions. Isn't that exciting? Yes, we're going to be multiplying and dividing fractions. So, the rules for multiplying. When we're going to multiply, what we're going to do is we're going to have two fractions. You are going to have to factor, 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 factor. And then once we get through factoring in all four places, this is step one. Step two is you're going to cancel like factors. And it's got to be one from the numerator and one from the denominator. So I'm going to do the evens because, again, thinking you're a little odd, so you're going to get to do the odds on your own. Now, we have them mixed up. There's multiply and divide in the same lesson. So you have to pay attention to your sign here. Okay, so I have in my first numerator, x is to the first power, so that means I need to look for a GCF. The largest number that will divide both 8 and 16 is 8. And now, I don't have an x in both terms, so I can't take out an x. I'm just going to divide. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So there's my 1 and my x. Plus 16, when I divide it by 8, I get 2. All right, in the denominator, there is no plus or minus sign down here in this denominator, so I can't factor. So there's my 8 times, okay, in my second fraction, in this numerator, there's no plus or minus sign, so I can't factor it, so I'm going to leave that 1 there. In my denominator, x is to the first power, so the only thing I can do is look for a GCF. And the largest number that will divide to both x and 2 is 1. So x divided by 1 is x, 2 divided by 1 is 2. All right, now, so I've factored all four places. I'm ready to see if I can cancel anything. We're going to do I spy. So I spy an 8 in the numerator. Is there an 8 anywhere in the denominator? Yes, there is. So these guys are going to cancel out. Okay, I spy an x plus 2 in the numerator. Is there an x plus 2 anywhere in the denominator? Yes, there is. So these are going to cancel out. Now, I spy a 1 in the numerator. Is there a 1 anywhere in the denominator? Yes. Now, when we say they cancel, but really what happens is we had 1 divided by 1, or 8 divided by 8, or x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. When we divide any number by itself, our answer is 1. Answer is 1. It's not 0, it is 1. So we should get B as in black for our answer for number 2. All right, so let's try that again. We're going to look at number 4. We have to factor in all four places, okay? But, so, I'm gonna have to write a little small, but we can do it. All right, our numerator, b is to the first power, so that means we can just look for a GCF, and the largest number that will divide both b and 3 is 1, so I'm gonna just leave it as b minus 3. You can put the 1 out here, you don't have to. My denominator, b is squared, so that's a hint that I'm going to use 2 sets of parentheses. B squared is b times b, so I'm taking the number that's on the left side of the problem, and I'm putting my b's by the left parentheses. Now the number 24, I need to think of two numbers that I can multiply together to get 24, and when I add them, it's going to give me 11. So 24. I could do 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, or 4 times 6. All of those will give me the magic 24. So which two could I add and get 11? That is 8 times 3. So I'm going to put my big number first, then my small number, because the big number is going to get that first sign. If I have a minus 8, I'm going to need a minus 3 so that they combine together to give me a minus 11. Okay, so now for my second fraction, I need to factor that one. B squared lets me know I'm going to do B 2 times, or I'm going to do 2 sets of parentheses. B times B gives me B squared. Now my factors for 48, woo-wee, I got a lot of factors. 48 is 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. Okay, all those are the factors of 48. This time I want to know which pair can I add together and get 14. So 6 and 8, you are correct. So I'm going to put the big number first, my 8, then my 6, because the big number is going to get that first sign, so we get that minus sign. And if I have a negative 8, this has to be a negative 6 so that they add together and give me negative 14. Now in my denominator, I have b minus 3. b is to the first power, so that means the only thing I can look for is a GCF. My largest number that will divide both b and the minus 3 is 1, and I don't have to put the 1 on the outside. Okay, finally got it factored in all 4 places. So that means that now I'm ready to cancel like factors. So I spy in the top, I have a b minus 3. Do I have a b minus 3 anywhere in the bottom? I have 2 of them. But this is not a BOGO sale. This is not buy one, get one free. So you can only cancel out 1 on the top with 1 on the bottom. So b minus 3 and the b minus 3 are going to cancel. Okay, b minus 8 in the top. Do you have a b minus 8 anywhere in the bottom? Why, yes we do. B minus 8 and a b minus 8. They don't have to be directly below one another, as long as it shows up once in the top, once in the bottom. Okay, now I have a b minus 6. Do you have a b minus 6 anywhere in the bottom? No, I do not. So my answer is whatever's left over. B minus 6 left over in the numerator, B minus 3 left over in the denominator. And that matches up with C, as in chicken. Okay, so we've done 2 examples with multiply. Notice both of them have the little polka dot. There you go. So if it's got the little polka dot, that means we're going to multiply. Now when I get to number 6, ooh-wee, number 6 has, that's right, the old-fashioned division sign. So when we have division, remember what you did back in the day. If you had 2/3 divided by 4/5, remember KCF. You kept the first fraction the way it was. You changed division to multiplication, and then you flipped the second fraction. We're going to have to do the same thing. Keep, change, flip. Then we were ready to reduce. So when I come to number 6 over here, it's got division here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of space. And I want a little space on the top, a little space on the bottom, because I'm lazy and I don't want to write things 3 times. So I have 30x plus 70 divided by 7. That stays in my numerator. Or that first fraction stays exactly as it was written. Change division to multiplication. And I'm going to flip the second fraction. So the 8x that was in the bottom now goes to the numerator. The 30x plus 70 that was in the denominator, it was in the numerator, goes to the denominator. Now, at this point, we would normally try to factor, but can you see that this whole thing is exactly the same as this whole thing? I mean, I know I could take out a GCF of 10, but I see that these two are already exactly the same, so I can just cancel them out. They are already exactly the same. Now, in my numerator, I have an 8x. There's no plus or minus sign. I can't factor it. In my denominator here, I have a 7. There's no plus or minus sign. I cannot factor it. So therefore, I have 8x divided by 7. And that matches with A as an apple. I want to do another divide problem with you right now before we go back to a multiply. So we're going to skip down to number 10. Number 10. On problem number 10, it's divide. So that means I have to rewrite this as my step 1. So I have 2b squared minus 18b over 2b. Keep the first fraction. Change division to multiplication. And we're going to flip that second fraction. So the b minus 5 is going to go in the numerator. B minus 9 is going to go in the denominator. Okay, so now, keep, change, flip, got that? Now we have to factor, see what we can factor. Now, I am going to factor this numerator. We have 2b squared minus 18b. It has only 2 terms, so I'm looking for a GCF. What's the largest number that will divide both 2 and 18? 2. Do we have a b in both of these terms? Yes, we do. We want the smallest exponent. Smallest exponent is a 1, so we're taking out a 2b to the first. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. If I have a b squared and I take out a b to the first, I still have a b to the first left. Minus 18 divided by 2 is 9. If I have a b to the first and I take out a b to the first, do we have any b's left? No, we don't. So what we did was we just rewrote this as 2b times 1b minus 9. And so I'm getting rid of this old stuff because I rewrote it by its nickname. Okay, in my denominator, no plus signs or minus signs, can't factor it. My numerator over here, b minus 5. Because b is to the first power, all I could look for is a GCF. And the GCF between b and the 5 is just 1. In the denominator, again, b is to the first power, so I can only look for a GCF. And again, my GCF is just 1. So I have checked to factor. I factored the numerator. I couldn't factor here or here or here other than the GCF of 1. So now we're going to cancel out like factors. So going across the top, I have a 2b in the numerator. Is there a 2b anywhere in the denominator? Yes, there is. So these are going to cancel out. I have b minus 9 in the top. Is there a b minus 9 anywhere in the bottom? Yes, there is. So these are going to cancel out. Okay, so what does that leave me with? I have a b minus 5 in the top, and I have nothing on the bottom. So this is my answer right here, and it matches up with